Hi there everybody, today we're just going to look at using a calculator. Now of course you're all going to have different calculators, but this tends to be the one that's kind of most common. But I just want to kind of highlight a couple of things to look at, making sure that obviously when you're using your calculator, you know you're doing it correctly and you know where most of the kind of buttons are. But of course, when you have your calculator, get to know it, get comfortable with it, because you're going to, when you sit your GCSE, 2 of the papers are going to be calculator based, certainly at this point in time. So you need to obviously be quite comfortable in terms of where the buttons are that you're going to need. All right. So first of all, so the shift or second function button, which is over here, allows you to use functions which are above. All right. So these the ones that are kind of above, that you can see, the second function is going to give you access to those. All right. So when you're doing cube root, you can see the cube root, which is just above there. So you're going to need that one potentially over there. If you're working out trigonometry and inverse functions of sine, you've got sine, cos and tan there above there, so you're going to need those. And if you want a pi, the pi button, again, it's shift and it's above there. Right, so they're the ones that you're kind of certainly going to come across more than anything else in terms of what you need to do. So sine, cos and tan, and obviously cube root, which is there, and certainly pi, which is there. But of course, this is obviously, you know, this calculator, you need to know where they are on yours. All right, but there tends to be a second function or a shift in terms of doing that one. All right, the SD button, again, what that does, it turns it from essentially it turns your answer from a fraction or a third to a decimal. All right, so that's what that SD button. So if your answer comes up with something pi, or maybe it's a third, and you want to turn it into a decimal, then that's what that button does. Okay, so that's the little SD button. This one, again, if you're trying to manipulate some of your kind of questions or what you're putting in there, so it might be you're using a quadratic formula and you want to change one of the numbers, well, the direction pad allows you to move through your working and change it and maybe put a plus or a minus in there, or those kind of things, so left and right and that kind of thing, and up and down. So it just moves you across the kind of screen. Key functions, obviously squared, cubed, and to the power. These ones, all right, you're probably going to come across, again, the same kind of thing. If you're trying to square a number or you're trying to put to power something, then they're over here. And obviously, as an impact of that one, you've got the square root button and the cube root button. And if you want to fall through or anything like that, then probably there at the top, but you might need the shift buttons to do some of those. The fraction button, all right, so most calculators, there's fractions, and that's quite useful if you're doing something like this, or you've got something over something else. And that means you can just put it as a fraction, and that's still going to support you. And the one above it is going to be a mixed number if you need it. All right, so that's going to support you in terms of doing those. And then, of course, the one I kind of mentioned already, you need to know where your pi button is. All right, it's going to be somewhere in your exam where you have to do something that involves a circle. All right, so the pi button is over there, so make sure you kind of know how to do that. One other last little bit that I kind of mentioned before I go, which is not on here, is just this little bit here. All right, when you're doing trigonometry, you will need to make sure that over there is a D. Okay, that means you are working in degrees. Okay, so if you're not quite sure how to kind of change it, then it's normally a part of your mode in your setup, or shift mode or something like that. In terms of changing it, you need to make sure that you are in degrees. If it says R or G, anything you do with trigonometry, sine, cosine, or anything like that is going to be incorrect. For GCSE purposes, that needs to be a D in degrees. Okay, all right, well, obviously there's some kind of questions on maths-school.co.uk about kind of using your calculator, but all I would say is have a play, practice, and get comfortable in terms of where those numbers are and how to use it. All right, thanks for listening.